everyone, Kat here, your favorite ginger bibliophile. Hope you're all doing really well, and I hope you've got a good drink and you're nice and settled in, because we're going to do something that I have been thinking about all year and just never got to, because one, it took prep work, which I am not one to do. I know it's going to take some editing, which is something that I don't really do. And it's just going to be kind of long, which normally I don't have time for if I'm trying to get out 3 videos a week. But with all this, forced extra free time, because, we went from my full time job is now a more of a part time seasonal job, unless you're related or have a history with management. So 24 hours a week gives me a lot of time. And what is that we're finally going to do? We're going to go through all the series that I have started since joining BookTube, which will be 3 years in January. So there has been 165 of them so far. We are not going to do all 165 in this video because I can't stand myself for that long. I don't think y'all want to have to go through all of that. So we're going to break it up year by year, and it's just going to go quick. Here's the books that I have read. Like, I finished this series, I DNF'd this series. I haven't finished it because, I don't have the books, or I just if I find it, good. If I don't care. We'll do a quick little thing. Because, yay, I got the time for it now, which that sucks, but that's okay because I got a little savings. I got some plans, and hey, the silver lining in not having anyone to get Christmas presents for. Now I have money to pay next month's bills without extra stress. Ha 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 ha. Yay, there's always a silver lining in there. You just have to look for it. And I found it. And we've got our Goodreads open because, I had to go through this, and some of them, like, I'm gonna need a little cue as to, wait, what was that one again? Because it's been 165 series in 3 years. Possibly more than that, but they weren't always nice enough to go, hey, this is book number whatever, so it seems like it's a, one off. So, yep, we're gonna go with that. And we're gonna start with the first series that I started when starting this channel was the In Death series by Jd Robb. I have not completed that series. There's like 65 of them. And it's murder mysteries, so I tend to not get them because once I've read it once, I have to wait a really long time. And then it's still usually like I'll forget that I've read it because they all have kind of similar-ish names, and then I go, oh, yeah, I read a chapter of this. I remember who the bad guy was. But I've forgotten some of the little details so I can read it again. So I look for these on Super Cheapies. There's also the Twisted Disney series, and that is written by various authors. I've read a handful of them. Some of them I have loved, some of them not so much. Some I've been kind of ambivalent towards. But I still want to finish that series, but the library doesn't have them all, and they ain't cheap, so it is what it is. I've been reading the Moonfall series by James Rollins, and as it is published, I have completed it. And I know I'm going to complete it because I pre-ordered the last book in the trilogy, and it'll be here in February, so woohoo! I finished the series! And it's by one of my favorite authors. I also started the Anita Blake Vampire Hunters series by Laurell K. Hamilton. I might give this another try, but likely this is going to end up a DNF because it started out with, oh, I'm badass, I fight all these monsters. At least that's how I remembered it. And then I read one again and went, she's so, bent on proving that she's, badass that she left herself no way to defend herself because I've got my arms full of bags of weapons because I have to leave my house. And I can't let no man carry a bag for me. And then towards the end, it just turned into, I'm a vampire, but instead of blood, I need male fluids. It's not my fault that I need like a, 6-person orgy every 2 hours or I might die. So, yeah. I'm definitely not going to finish it, but I might not even read like to the halfway points anymore. The Fairytale Reform School series by Jen Calonita. This is one of those that I liked it, but it's a little young, so, If I find it super cheaper at my library and I just need a quick feel good, I might pick it up. But if I don't, whatever. It is exactly what it sounds like. It is a reform school in fairy tales where it's run by former villains. Some that are former, some that are not. We find out who's who. The Frith Chronicles by Shami Stovall. This is one that's on Kindle Unlimited, but there's also a lot of stuff on Kindle Unlimited that y'all know is my jam. I freaking love it. So, if I get through the must-have stuff and get to it, great. If I don't, I don't. The Jack West Jr. series by Matthew Reilly. It took forever. Those last two books were hard to find, but I got them. I finished them. I freaking love this series, and I'm reading more by him. The Relic Hunter series by David Leadbeater. This is once again one of those like archaeological thrillers that y'all know I freaking love. James Rollins and his Sigma Force is absolute, pinnacle of that genre. But yeah, this is another one I found on Kindle Unlimited that I bounce around with. He's a good stand-in. The Derrick Storm series by Richard Castle. Yeah, I have not finished this one. I think there's like one more where I've loved some of them, and then some like it's this is kind of like a side spin-off of the Castle series on TV. He's supposed to be like this like American James Bond, and in some books he is, and other ones you're like, how is he getting the girls? He's a prick. And they're a bit pricey because they're only as ebooks, and y'all know I have a problem with ebooks and losing them because I have so many. Then shut up, I know what you're thinking. I only get freebies now. I will eventually get it under 800. The Timeless Fairytale series by K.M. Shea. I haven't read one that I didn't love, but there's a crap ton of them, and trying to fit them all in before my Kindle Unlimited trials run out, I haven't quite managed. I've got like 9 out of 12 of them. The Jeremy Logan series by Lincoln Child. I would like to finish this one. I've read one of them that was, that was like my first ever rant video on this channel. But for the most part, I have loved them. I just haven't found them all. There is the Ravenloft series by various authors based on that area of like campaign in the D&D game, which I never played the board one. I played Neverwinter, which is a PC. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if they have that on PC, but it's on PlayStation as a freebie. I'd love to finish this one. I have liked half of what I've read because everyone is written by a different author, so you never know, how that's all's gonna go. But this is not in print anymore. This is like a 20-year-old series, which in books is, all right, Grandpa. So if y'all can find them for like a good price, let me know, because some of these I've found at the used bookstore. Some of them I found for like $6 online. Other ones that I wanted, they wanted, $50 for, and what are they smoking? So, it is what it is. The Nina Wilde and Eddie Chase series by Andy McDermott. This is another, well, this one is highly unbelievable. It's archaeological where, all the ancient legends are true. Hercules exists. We found Atlantis. We found King Arthur's sword. We found the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, Eden, all that jazz. They take the laws of physics and laugh at them and expect you to believe it. So if you can suspend disbelief, it's a really fun series. I just haven't finished it because there's like 15 of them. So, yep. There's the Fox and O'Hare series by Janet Ivanovich and others. Like, it was co-written, and I think there was like 3 co-authors, even though there's only like 5 books. They all made me giggle. I love that freaking series. I want more of it. There's the Vampires of Babylon series by Chris Marie Green. I am ticked that I only read one, and that was too many. We built up to, hey, we're gonna stop these evil vampires. Oh, hey, we found them. Just kidding. We're just gonna let them go and not even like yell at them. Like, whatever. So they're going around killing people, and that's bad. We decided they're not really the problem after a 300-page build-up. So yeah, I'm pissed. I DNF'd that one. Of course, it's me. I'm not a big fantasy girl, though I am starting to get into it. But I had to read, Hobbit and some Tolkien. I had to get into the Lord of the Rings. I haven't finished it since starting this channel, but it's a reread, so we're counting it as I finished something. The Storymakers trilogy by Betsy Shea. I finally completed that this year. It is a jumble of fairy tales, all with like a backdrop of Wizard of Oz. It's young adult. Their version of cussing is, oh, what the spell, and all kinds of like cutesy version of cussing. And we mixed Wizard of Oz, we mixed King Arthur. I think there was Sleeping Beauty, there was Robin Hood, there was the Lady of the Lake. There was a couple of them all blended in, and it was just a feel good, time. The Witch for Hire series by N.E. Connolly, and that's one of those of I wanted to love it because it kind of takes place in Atlanta where I grew up. It wasn't great, it wasn't terrible, it was just kind of there. The Jones and Payne series by Chris Kosneski. This is another like archaeological thriller kind of series of there's murders, there's drama, we have Jones and Payne who just give each other crap because we got, their former military. One of them's a rich trust fund baby that's like, all right, we got out of the military. Hey, now we can do what we want because I got money. I'll hire you for your private investigations thing, and we just kind of do whatever. It's fun. I haven't quite finished that series, so, I'm looking for the other books in that one for sure. The Stone Collection by Nick Hawks. I was excited. It was on Kindle Unlimited, and the first book was supposed to be about Atlantis. Yeah. Hey, we found a stone randomly in the ocean. I could just glance at it half a second, and I know what this has. Yeah, this is tied to Atlantis, and it's this. And hey, some dead body fell from the roof, and yeah, it's like we're investigating you. Oops, yeah, we totally like left that alone, and now we're dating, and because I met you for 5 minutes, I'm in love because I'm divorced. It's just a mess. It was stupid. Signs of the Zodiac by Vicky Peterson. This was another DNF of it had such potential, but I couldn't really stand it. Of course, the Sigma Force series. We're counting that as complete up to this point. I know he's writing more. I don't know what they are, when the next one's coming out. I'm going to bet next August, but we haven't even gotten teased with a title or a summary yet. But I'm up to date on that. The Stephanie Plum series by Janet Evanovich. I would like to finish it at some point, but it's gotten formulaic, so if I find them for really cheap, great. If not, it is what it is. The Love Story series. Or, well, not really, it's the blood. On Goodreads, they're calling it Love Story, but on his website and everywhere else, it's the Blood-Sucking Fiends trilogy by my favorite, Christopher Moore. I just, of course, started with the second book in the series because that's the one that I initially found is You Suck, a Love Story. It's a comedic vampire thing that you either love his sense of humor or you're going to hate it because it is somewhat dark, somewhat childish, a little dirty. I love it. Of course, I have finished it again. The Darkness trilogy by K.F. Green, and I really don't remember. This was a 3-star book, which means I'm glad I read it once. I might read it again eventually, but it is what it is. Take it or leave it. I have a feeling this one was like a little bit romantic-y, Yeah, looking at the cover, it's just some like ripped tattooed guy without a shirt on, but it's supposed to be dark and vampire-y, so it wasn't so heavy on the romance that I hated it, but I didn't love it enough to go looking for more of it. The Hollow series by Kim Harrison. I need the last book that came out this year, but it's still only in hardback. And as much as I love this series, there's no suspense because it was supposed to stop at book 13, which I read. So it went up to, like, here's the epilogue of here's what's going to happen, like, in the future. Everyone's married or dead or had a baby or, here, basically, here's their future for the next 60 years because they all live for hundreds of years. That's nothing. It's elves, vampires, pixies, witches, and demons. So, there's just no urgency since I already know, oh crap, this looks like they're going to die, but they're in the epilogue, so they live. So I'm waiting for that one. The Detective Kate Rossetti mystery series by Gina Lamanna. That one was fun. I found that on Kindle Unlimited, but I think it's one of those where here's a teaser. I'm going to get you hooked on my series, and then we're not going to put the rest on Kindle Unlimited. But she's a murder detective and was threatening to break this guy's nose if he kept hitting on her. She is very like anti-romance. Yeah, you're a billionaire. Ask me out again and I'm breaking your freaking jaw. So, yeah, that was a good time, but it is what it is. The Noir series by Christopher Moore, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's this 1950s San Francisco noir detective series. But Christopher Moore style, meaning there's language, there's aliens. In the second book of the series, the triads are the good guys, which, yeah, that takes some skills to make, like, Chinese mafia the good guys. But that's how they start out in that book, and oh, it is a good freaking time. I would be okay with more of that series. That's not what we're getting next year. I don't actually know what we're getting next year, but he's putting out another book, and I already pre-ordered it because it's Christopher Moore and I love him. The Kingdom Tales by Deborah Grace White. I think I love this one. Yes, this was a 4-star series for me. I started a lot of various fairy tales, and most of them I loved. There was one retelling series I'm just like, so I'm trying to have to glance like, was that the one? But I started off with Kingdom of Beauty, which of course, Beauty and the Beast retelling, very fierce, heroine. I gotta love it because I love me some retellings, especially like if you make them less damsel in distress and more fun. I guess you can help me, and that's what that one was. So yes, I also started the Fury Born or the Imperium trilogy with by Claire Legrand. The first one being Fury Born because that one was on Kindle Unlimited. I'm calling that complete because I got that much to go, and it's only the 13th. So, this is the last book in the trilogy. I will have that finished this year, so we're calling that complete. Which is kind of amazing because it's, fantasy. And again, I am not, like, I'm an urban fantasy girly. I'm not an epic fantasy girly. I get lost. And that one has so many freaking points of view. It started out with just, like, one or two, and it was easy. And it's gotten more and more, and switching between not just characters, but timelines, because we have the Sun Queen who turns into the evil Blood Queen, and then which happens pretty much in the beginning of Furyborn, and now it's just okay. How did she become evil? And what happened to her daughter that she gave to somebody to save it from the angel in the first book? Because the angels in this series, they're not angelic. They are evil and want to wipe out humanity. And then there was the medieval fairy tale series by Demels and Carlton. That was the one that I couldn't freaking stand. That was I'm glad I read it once, but never again book. Because the one that I read was a Beauty and the Beast retelling, because I love that one. Beauty was the Beast, but she was also just obnoxious, and I couldn't freaking stand her. the Magic and Mixology series by Gina Lamanna. I have finished this one. I wish she would write more. Because basically we have a chick that's has like a magical coffee bar. Yeah, she makes drinks, but they're spells, and there's a little bit of romance, there's magic, there's shifters, there's smart aleckiness and family drama, and it's just a good time. And then there's the Fairy Tales Reimagined series by Laura Burton and Jessie Cow. I freaking love this series. I had finished it, but then they wrote a couple more and they took the whole thing off Kindle Unlimited. And I don't have $15 a pop because they're indie authors, but I freaking love this series. There's always a combination of two fairy tales that get blended together as kind of a it's got some romance because it's a fairy tale, but it's so much fun. Like we have, you know, Ariel and Hook and the Snow Queen and Jack Frost. There was Beauty and the Beast mixed with, I want to say it was a Robin Hood one. And only one of them kind of had some spice, but it would go over little kids' heads because it's just, yeah, there were noises coming from a room where these two people were, and then the other one's like, oh, we can't kiss, that's shameful. We're innocent. Shh. And also I'm like, there's noises and that door's closed. So yeah, there's I don't even like Cinderella, but I read the Cinderella one, and that was a good freaking time actually. I want more of those, but I need them on sale. I read Sean Wyatt by Ernest Dempsey. This is another one that there are too many good options on Kindle Unlimited. And they're like, oh, you could continue this series, but hey, what about all these recommendations we're listing down here of similar ones? And I'm like, well, if I don't click on it now, I'm gonna forget about it because they change it every time you open the thing. And so I bounced around, but it's more archaeological thriller by Ernest Dempsey, and it's a good flipping time. I need some more of that. Like, so, if somebody finds them, or, hey, I get another Kindle Unlimited trial. I have a couple hundred, books that are going, hey, if they're still on here and you have time, I want to read these. There's the Sergei Storm series, or I think somebody said it was supposed to be pronounced Surge Storms by Tim Dorsey. I started off with Pineapple Grenade. To this day, that is one of my best videos I have ever done on here. And it is quintessential Florida man. We have our off his meds main character and his pharmaceutically enhanced, doesn't know what the heck's going on buddy, driving around Florida getting into all kinds of shenanigans. And this is what I call a reverse murder mystery. Because we know people are going to die. We know who's going to do it. It's our main character. We just don't know how he's going to kill them and who he's going to kill. And it might be for little things like, oh, their music was too loud. That one had road rage. Or it might be somebody that you're like, yes! About time somebody took these suckers down because the cops were taking too long. So, yeah. That first one was just like, wait, what? But most of them are fairly coherent. This one, I was like, well, they said this is what happened, so this is what happened. Because it was just, I think it was written actually by the, side character who is too baked to have a clue what's going on. But he had everybody convinced that he must actually be a spy because he was so out there. It's like, we can't figure out what's going on, but that's just because he's so awesome. No, he just also doesn't know what's going on. But yep, that was that. It was a good time. I am slowly getting more of that series. The Witches of Mountain Shadow by Tara Benner. This is exactly what it sounds like. It's an urban fantasy of, a witch coven. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. If I read more of it, good. If I don't, there's other books out there. Legacy by Mackenzie Hunter. This is another case of, it's a nice little urban fantasy. We got some shifters, some witches. I think this one even had like some like elves having a war in there. It was a good time, but there's other urban fantasy out there, and I got distracted. If I get back to it, great. If I don't, I don't. The Diaries of the Family Dracul by Janine Calagodris. Calogoridis, however the heck. I accidentally started on the third book of the series because that was the one that was there and it looked cool. This was another case of it was good. If I find more of them on sale, I might read it. If I don't, I don't. But it was just, eh, here's what it's like to be part of this family. A little dramatic, a little spicy. Just, eh. The Last Templars by Preston W. Child, which is evil because there is a series I love by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. And the book that I picked up was Guardians of the Forbidden Library. That sounds freaking epic. This really had nothing to do with like a library or them being guardians of anything. It had nothing to do with the Templars hardly. This was just a freaking tease, and I DNF'd this series very angry. And then I read the first book in the Crazy series by Charlotte Hughes. And it's basically, alright, some chick in Atlanta she's a shrink with some interesting clients and an ex, and it was vaguely amusing, but it was also heavy on the romance and bleh. The Nora Kelly series by Douglas Preston, Lincoln Child. Yeah, DNF this one. Just, I loved the start of their Pendergast series. It got too pedestrian and started making me angry at the end. This is some FBI agent thing that it's a normal, like, if you want just like a murder mystery, it's good. That is not what I go to these guys for. I want that supernatural, like, it feels like it has to be magic, but it's actually some sneaky, like, niche science and sneaky architecture that, like, haha, I have, like, these secret tunnels and stuff, so it looks like this guy was murdered by some, like, crazy supernatural phenomenon in this locked room. That's not what this is at all. The Other Realm by Heather G. Harris. I love this series. There's also 2 spin-offs. To the date, I have finished this series. I know she's writing more of each of these. They're all on Kindle Unlimited. Next time I get a trial, I will be finishing it. So, to date, I have read them all. She's got another one coming out next month that will change that, but it is what it is. The Harvey Bennett series by Nick Thacker. Again, archaeological thriller. Found on Kindle Unlimited to kill time between my Sigma Force novels. They start off good with a few typos. About the 8th book, the editing made me so mad I had to put it down and not read them again for like a year. Because they would say one thing on the page and then literally a paragraph later be like, now we decided that's not the clue. That's the clue. It's over here and it's this. And the story was good. The editing made me angry. Now there's like 15 of them. So I have not finished it. I might eventually get back to it. Sky High Pies and Mysteries by Mary Maxwell. This is a cutesy, cozy murder mystery. Every once in a blue moon, I read one of those that the main character knows how to give a little snark. This one was too cutesy for my tastes. The Shane Schofield, I'm not really sure how to pronounce that series, by Matthew Reilly. This is basically, it's a retired military guy that is now like doing like black ops. He was in the Marines. Later on, he's no longer in it. Like, you kind of went off the deep end. We shoved you out, but we can't totally get rid of you because you're a little too popular. You've done some very publicized stuff. I want more of this one. I've only got about 3 of them. I've loved them all. I want more. I just haven't found them. The Omega Files Adventures by Rick Chesler. I love the first 3. Was so excited that a couple years later he wrote a 4th one. he should have stopped at 3, but I did complete it. Again, it's just, rich guy duo going on archaeological adventures and giving each other crap and gunfights and blowing stuff up. The first one was Atlantis. Read the first 3. I loved it. The Broken Kingdom series by L.J. Andrews. It was supposedly like if Beauty and the Beast was Vikings. That is not what this is. I was lied to. Like, the first one was good of basically their royalty, this daughter's just kind of useless and gonna be sold off because, daughters and royalty, the only thing you're good for is making a match with somebody. But you're like a lower daughter. There's magic, there's betrayal of kingdoms, there's romance, which is what killed it for me in the second one. I was like, oh, this is pretty good. And then since like, I don't need you, and we're not gonna be stupid and let being all in love with each other get in the way of, saving our kingdom and our lives. And that's exactly what it does. And they keep pissing each other off because they're like, well, I would be so sad if something happened to you. So I'm going to protect you against your will, but I'm going to do it in a way that I look like I'm a douche that hates you. And then you're going to do the same thing to me if we can't speak to each other because otherwise we'll be all in love. So instead we hate each other, so we're doing stupid stuff because we hate each other. Because, we can't communicate and just, it's stupid and it made me angry. The Never After series by Emily McIntyre. I don't mind a little spice, but this was supposed to be like dark fairy tale retellings. And I love it. Hook is a bad guy, but he's better than Peter Pan. Except for that didn't really play a role in this. It was just, oh my god, I'm gonna use you to get back at your dad by banging you. And then we're just gonna have chapters going back and forth. If he did this to me and I liked it, so I did that to him, and this was his response. And there was like 5 chapters of plot and like 15 chapters of them blowing each other and whatnot. There's a whole series of it. If you need lessons on how to get it on, it's a great series. And there's a little bit of a background plot, but yeah, it's more spice than novel. I read Plague by Jeff Carlson. I didn't even finish the first book, much less the series, and I think it's like a trilogy, so yeah. It's like a nanotech, like if COVID actually was just, nanobots controlling everyone for, so that the government control everyone, if the conspiracy theorists were correct. The Dawning of Muirwood, I don't know how the heck to say that, by Jeff Wheeler. Wasn't good, wasn't bad. It was just kind of there of, magical world, and they're having like this magic versus that magic, and we got to keep people down by hiding this one, and only these people are allowed to have that magic. And it's good, but it is like high epic fantasy, and that was not my jam. It was on Kindle Unlimited. I might eventually pick another one up. The Dark Fairytale Queen series by Anita. I freaking devoured this. It's only 4 books, and all of them are like all your classic, princesses are actually freaking evil queens. But it's not totally their fault. Like, they have chances for redemption. Some of them take it, some of them don't. But it's, Snow White, Cinderella, Rapunzel, and, Belle. And I just freaking love that. Like, dude. Belle is supposed to be, like, bookish and sweetheart, and she was the worst of them. Oh, so good. I started the Frankenstein series by Dean Koontz. It started off good. It could have ended out a trilogy, but it is what it is. Saw it coming, finished it anyways. The Osseous Chronicles by Ivy Asher. I wish this was more books. It was only 3, and it was so freaking good that I picked up more books by her, but they were a letdown. But, basically, it's a couple magical families, some infighting in it, but I loved the magic. I loved all the snark and the badassery, and it was a little dark. It was a good time. All on Kindle Unlimited. Her next one was just it was another case of more other stuff, but we'll get to that one. The Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. Don't love it, don't hate it. I read them when I find them for super cheap. The Harry Fox series by Andrew Clausen. This was another, archaeological thriller. Kindle Unlimited went, hey, you've been reading those. Try this one. Wasn't great, wasn't bad. I might get to them eventually again, so long as it's still on Kindle Unlimited when I have a trial, and, I finish the other ones that I like more, like the Sean Wyatt series. And I told you we get to it. The Hellgate Guardians by Ivy Asher. We got a chick that, didn't realize she was magic till, oh crap, she did. And she has to guard a Hellgate with these, monsters. And the first book is good. By the time you get to the second book, it's just, oh my gosh. Alright, so I've screwed them all individually. Can we have an orgy? I really need to climb that guy's horns. Ooh, he just does it for me when he's blue. And that's mostly what it becomes. I stopped at book 2. Again, I don't mind a little spice, but I want plot with some spice. Not spice that occasionally remembers it's supposed to have a plot. So, do with that what you will. The Nicola Bounty series by J.C. LaBarge. Again, archaeological thriller. The first book mentioned Atlantis, which is my favorite myth, so I picked it up. I haven't gotten to more of these. It was on Kindle Unlimited. At the time, I was getting distracted and I hadn't figured out, oh yeah, let me just make a list of, here, they recommended me some things. Let me save this so I can go back to it later after I finish. Like, I like this. I'm going to read the rest of the series. But I don't want to forget this recommendation that I want to try that later. So I used to bounce around and then have not made it back to some of these. New Orleans Nocturnes by Kiri Pulkkinen. This one had such potential and instead made me so freaking angry. Like, girly girl was like, I'm gonna prove I can do something without my daddy, even though I'm using daddy's money to do this. Accidentally gets turned into a vampire by a vampire that hates her guts but feels guilty because he like almost kind of sort of got her killed because she got distracted looking at him and would have been run over and dead. Oh yeah, and she's a vegan that's freaked out by blood, but now she's a vampire, so she has to drink blood. Sounds like it'd be comedic. It's just obnoxious. Rogue Ethereal series by Annie Anderson. I freaking devoured this series. It was so good. She's, well, part of the whole mystery of this series is what the heck is she? Trying to figure out what kind of magical creature she is the whole thing through the whole series. And it slightly changes as we learn more in each one. There's family drama, there's friend drama, there's, just battling all these people and hiding from everything and discoveries, and it was a good freaking time. So much so I got all excited when I found another series by her, but we'll get into that. There was the Other Wolf series by Heather G. Harris. Told you there were spin-offs. Because the Other World is basically, we have Jinx, who I can't tell you what she is, because that is kind of a big reveal of the series. But the Other Wolf series is obviously, hey, she's friends with the werewolf, and, she gets a spin-off of her own thing. But you do not read this one first. You do need to read them in a specific order. Maybe I'll make a video about that. Because you've got this series and it spins off to this one and this one. But there's a chronological thing, because otherwise you're going to spoil stuff. But they're good times. The Southern Ghost Hunter mystery series by Angie Fox. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a cutesy, cozy, ghost hunter series. There's people that are murdered. She has a ghost on her property that helps her, solve things. It's a lot easier when you can talk to the dead guy and be like, who murdered you? She has a pet skunk, and I'm so jealous. I want a little pet skunk. They're so cute. But it's kind of cutesy cozy. Take it or leave it. The Holly Black's, modern fairy tale series. These were gifted to me by a coworker that ordered something, online. They screwed up and sent her to the wrong order and went, keep it. We'll send you your correct stuff. It's a good thing. I ended up giving these away. They had potential, but they really didn't do it for me. They did not live up to the hype at all. Just, it just didn't click. The Frostborn series by Jonathan Moeller. I loved the first four. They were like, I got a bundle for 99 cents. It's very like, it's epic fantasy, but it's written kind of like the Hobbit level. It's very easy to read, very easy to follow. And it kind of feels like Lord of the Rings if it was being led completely by Aragorn. Like, we've even got a lot of the same creatures, and we've got this, small bad guys in the way of this one big guy, and we have our Gandalf character and everything. And then, like, the later books, it just gets into. Ooh, well, one of the people that we invited into our crew, because it keeps growing with every book, is just absolute evil, narcissistic, daddy issue trash. I'm so in love, and that starts causing issues in the group. And not to mention, these books are like $15 to like $23 a pop for a paperback, or like $8 a pop for a Kindle book, and there's like 16 of them. I ain't putting that much money into a series. No, no, no. The did I already say the Pine Cove series? I have lost where I was at. No, I don't think I have yet. I have mentioned Christopher Moore, but he has a Pine Cove series, and I read The Stupidest Angel, a heartwarming tale of Christmas terror. Every year, that's like my little Christmas tradition. I have to watch Hocus Pocus for Halloween. I have to read this for Christmas. It's just, there's magic. Like, Pine Cove is great. It's this little, like, coastal, made up California city. Just very small, very cutesy. They get, practical demon keeping was the first one with a demon, and there's a story to that. That, the executives that bought the rights were not smart, tried to challenge the author. Don't have a battle of wits when you're unarmed. You are not going to beat the creative type. But, yep, it's a very character driven, it's fun. I freaking love him. The Greatest Hits series by Leslie Langtree. And this is a comedic family murder mystery. Except for you're rooting for the murderers, because it's a family of assassins that, like, you have to be trained. Like, they start training you when you're, like, 5 years old on how to, like, off somebody. And you gotta, take out your first victim by, like, time you hit puberty, or Granny's gonna whack you. Because, well, they're not technically working for the CIA, because that would be wrong. But yeah, we're not going to say who hired them, but somebody hired them to, off these other people that might be assassins. They might be, other, like, groups that I'm not going to say that word, because y'all know it starts with a T. This video will get censored and taken down. But yeah. And then, like, through this, it's like, oops, I'm supposed to off this guy's client, but I really like him, and if I off his client, he's gonna leave, and if he finds out it's me, he gonna hate me when he leaves. And so it's romance, it's comedy, it's murder, but it's happy murder. Buy the bundle of these, because they're like $6 a pop, or you like, I think I found the bundle of the first 5 of them for like $7. There's a couple there's like 7 books and like 2 shorts. They're a good freaking time. She also has other series. I have not read a bad book by her yet. The Changeling Chronicles by Emma L. Adams. I don't remember anything about this. Yeah, I gave it a 3-star rating, which on Goodreads is, hey, I'm glad I read it once. I'll read it again eventually, maybe. If I don't, I don't. If I do, good. It's just your basic, magical urban fantasy. This one was, obviously fairy centric. And yep. So Noah, you might love that one. It was on Kindle Unlimited. That's pretty much where I get all my ebooks. And I read the Confessions series by James Patterson. Well, one book in it. I liked it. I haven't read more of them. It's a murder mystery. That's actually the only book I've ever read by him. And 2 years later, I think I have a couple more by him that I picked up at my favorite used bookstore. I have not gotten to them yet. But hey, they've only been there for at least 2 years, which is a lot less time than some other books have been on my list. So we ain't gonna talk about that though. So it is what it is. And wow, this is a slightly shorter video than I thought it would be. So yep, that is all 66 series that I started in 2022. Some I finished, some I have not. Do any of them sound like something that you would read, or I was going to, but never mind? Or why did you DNF that? Give me that spice. And I know that's what some of y'all are thinking, and yeah, I might have earned the right time for that. Oh well, just because some folks don't realize I'm hot doesn't mean I can't try to remind myself on occasion. Get that redhead attitude. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this. Sorry there's no puppies. Little man has tucked himself in because I guess it's not scary out. He doesn't have to guard duty. And Franny is crashed on the floor, all cute and flappied. Let's see if we can. Can I get her in there? There's my big girl. So that's the big girl. That's why she won't join me. That she gets too toasty, and I got the fuzzy Christmas blankie. She don't like the fuzzy blankie except for by like 8 o'clock. She will be sleeping in that corner, and then she gets too toasty on this blankie. JB is asleep in the middle of the bed, which is nice because that means he's not eating any of the plants and getting into anything. But maybe the next video will have a cute, furry co-host, and I will see you soon. Bye. Happy reading.